Yeah,
Like,
I've gotten some censorship on YouTube, and at first I'm like, oh
Mhm.
man, I gotta conform, and then I said, what am I doing? That's not why I started this. If there's a will, there's a way, and I originally got into this because I saw so much of the divide in our country by forces, that are up there. And I came up with the idea, I think that, and this isn't to be set in stone that these are the numbers, so don't fact check me, but it's like the 5% versus the 5% versus the 90%. And I look at the 5% as the wolves, the wolves, the people who saw through the game and then they want it for themselves. And then the other 5% are people who are in the arena who see the wolf in themselves. They see the wolf, they see the sheep in themselves.
Mm.
And they choose to believe in the sheep. Because you look around, there's a lot of idiots. But you look inside yourself, and at least for me, I look inside myself and I saw the idiot within me walking around, and the people still believed in me. And I think that it takes a lot of it takes a lot more strength to believe in people who don't believe in themselves. So, and I think there's a fuel in that. And I constantly come back to that idea of flipping those negatives into positives. When I was just, I just had a video flagged on YouTube. I made that my banner now on Facebook. And if I want to keep getting blocked, I'll keep getting blocked because I want people to see it, because originally when I first saw this, because I was not living my truest self in 2020. I had, I struggled with porn addiction and I had all these problems. I wasn't taking responsibility. I wasn't disciplined. I wasn't consistent. I had these ideas, but I didn't feed them. And when I started to just say, you know what, fuck it, let's go. I want you guys, because I would share with friends and family. It was called conspiracy theorist, all this stuff. And I said, how do you not
Mm.
see this? And the problem was because I didn't believe in myself. So I just started really just, let me just dive into it. I want people to see it, and it's brought me closer to, my faith with Christ. I mean, when you really reflect on that idea of just the idea that he understood people so deeply, he didn't take things personally. And like the more that it's such a beautiful thing, but you only see it when you start doing it, when you start seeing the hatred or the ignorance or the you can't do it. You realize people are fighting their own selves. And the more I see that, the more is like it's so paradoxical. It's so paradoxical. Does that resonate with you? Is there anything that, in your journey where you would have pushback, friends and family? I guess, for people who are watching who have a dream, who are maybe stuck in a 9 to 5 and they
If
don't
you
know
don't
how to
have any,
that.
if you don't have any, you're going in the wrong direction. If there's anything video games have taught me, it's if that you're coming across resistance, if you're coming across puzzles or enemies, you're going in the right direction. If there's nothing to do, if there's no resistance, you're going fucking backwards. Or at least in some wrong way that hasn't been properly coded, and you're not going to find anything. You're going to find a half-finished island that you're only supposed to glitch into. Shouts out to Mexico and Red Dead Redemption 2. What a disappointment that was. So yeah, of course, you will definitely get resistance. If you're not getting resistance, you're not doing anything worthwhile. If you don't have haters, you ain't popping. You know what I mean? Someone put that in a record. Your percentage thing is interesting. I don't know if you derive that from anything specific, but there's 1,000 cultures over human history have come to the exact same conclusions, although the figures vary slightly. It's very similar to that. The Nation of Islam, who call themselves 5%ers, which I don't know if you know of them. If you
No,
listen
I
to rap
don't.
music, you'll know about the 5%ers because, like, a lot of the rappers that came out in New York in the 90s were 5%ers. Jay Electronica is a 5%er. Wu-Tang Clan are 5%ers. The idea being that 10% of 85% of humanity is essentially uh, undeliberately maneuvered, as in, I don't like the word sheep, but I suppose that would be a shorthand for it, or acting unconsciously, just kind of following
Yeah,
or
that's why
whatever
I say there's a
what they're
sheep
supposed to be doing,
inside
right?
me.
Yeah, there is in everyone. That's the
Yeah.
thing. So yeah, Nation of Islam have it that's 85% of people, then 10% of people are wicked and they're trying to, lead the 85% in a bad direction, shall we say, and then 5% are wise and they're the poor, wise, righteous teachers or something like that. That's the Nation of Islam thing. There was others older than that have it down. I think it was something like six, that it's like 5% are wicked 5% are aware, 20% are reachable, and the remaining 60 will just follow what the 20 do. Will follow what the mass do. So it's never a case that you're trying to reach like 85% of the populace. You're just trying to influence that remaining 20 that kind of can go either way, that can be convinced that wickedness is actually goodness and so on and so forth. Because you could always make these arguments. And there's variations of that have gone back through as far as humanity has record of that idea. And it's currently represented in some of the more detailed versions of the, what do they call it? Scott Adams and Elon are into it. Simulation theory. Because in simulation theory, like 60 to 80% of the people you will encounter, just like the aforementioned Red Dead Redemption, are not human players, but NPCs. And so when the NPC meme is really interesting because that's actually in many spiritual teachings and many esoteric sort of handings down of groups of knowledge, that's real. Like a lot of people believe that to be true, and this is a modern way of describing something that people have thought for thousands and thousands of years. And that's what's always interesting. That's why we need new mythology. That's why we're at this interesting sort of turning point with regards to our mythology, because our mythology, the purpose of a mythology is to encode that which the society already knows in such a fashion that a newborn individual can receive it and receive as much of it as possible in order to keep moving and progressing the species, right? How the fuck can an individual learn everything that was learned before? That took lifetimes and lifetimes to learn. How the fuck can an individual do that? That's a crazy proposition. So that's what mythology is for. And in this weird period right now where our mythology has been hijacked for the purposes of propaganda, or a lot of it just doesn't make sense to modern people because the references, because of the sort of post-religious nature of a lot of modern man and what have you, which takes us back to the purpose of Meaning Wave, partly which is to encode as much of that sort of wisdom and knowledge in a form that people can imbue easily as possible, which is music. Music is an incredibly powerful delivery mechanism. And that's how people used to transmit these mythologies. That's how the epic tale of Beowulf was told for hundreds and thousands of years, however the fuck long it was. It was told by people essentially rapping it around campfires or singing it, singity rapping it, finding the melody and the rhythm inherent within those words. And that's how people could carry whole books in their heads before the printing press came along and delegated something that was the domain of every individual to a subset of people, just like the priests delegated God. It's this strange thing that always happens with our technology. It always has that shadow side. Printing press had that shadow side.